Hey everyone, ready for a dose of good news? Today we're diving into some truly uplifting stories from around the world.
Yeah, we've got reports coming in from Bangkok,
The India-China border.
and even a touch of magic from over in the UK.
What I find really fascinating is,
How these stories...
even though they're geographically diverse,
Yeah,
they all share this common thread of human resilience and ingenuity.
absolutely.
So first up, we're heading to Bangkok, where they're tackling the city's flooding problem
Oh, this is interesting.
in a way that's both innovative and eco-friendly.
Yeah.
So instead of battling against nature, they're embracing it. They're creating these urban forests and allowing natural floodplains to absorb excess water.
It's a brilliant approach, especially for a city like Bangkok, which is facing rising sea levels and increasingly heavy rains.
Right.
And, by working with nature, they're not just mitigating floods, but also creating a more beautiful and sustainable urban environment.
So tell me more about these urban forests.
Sure.
Is it just like planting trees randomly?
No, it's definitely not random.
Or is there a more strategic approach?
Bangkok is very carefully selecting native tree species that thrive in wet conditions and can handle the stress of periodic flooding.
Okay.
They're also strategically placing these forests in areas that act as natural sponges, soaking up that excess water and preventing it from overwhelming the city's drainage systems.
So it's like they're creating a network of green infrastructure to complement the existing gray infrastructure of pipes and concrete channels.
Exactly.
I love that.
It's not just about planting trees either. They're restoring entire ecosystems, creating corridors of green spaces along rivers and canals. And this not only absorbs floodwater, but provides habitats for wildlife and beautiful recreational spaces for people.
That's amazing. It's like weaving nature back into the fabric of the city. Okay, let's shift gears to a story that truly warms the heart. We're talking about Indian and Chinese soldiers stationed along their disputed border. But instead of tension, what we're seeing is an unexpected gesture of camaraderie. They're exchanging sweets on the Diwali holiday.
It's such a powerful symbol of shared humanity, especially considering the long history of tension and conflict along that border.
Yeah.
This simple act of sharing sweets speaks volumes about the potential for peace and understanding, even in the most challenging of circumstances.
It's like this little glimmer of hope in a region that's often associated with conflict and geopolitical rivalry.
For sure.
But what's the broader context here? Has there been any progress in terms of resolving that border dispute?
The border issue itself remains complex and sensitive, but both India and China have been making efforts to de-escalate tensions and engage in dialogue.
Okay.
They've implemented confidence-building measures, such as regular border meetings between military commanders and joint patrols to prevent any accidental clashes.
So even though the underlying issue is still there, they're finding ways to manage the situation and prevent it from spiraling into conflict.
Absolutely. They're demonstrating restraint and a commitment to diplomacy, which is crucial in maintaining peace and stability in the region.
All right, ready for a touch of magic. We're heading to the UK, where a magician named Megan Swan is using her skills to inspire climate action.
Wow.
And now you might be thinking, magic and climate change, how does that even work? But trust me, this is fascinating stuff.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so tell me about this.
Swan is incredibly creative in the way she weaves climate messages into her magic tricks.
Okay.
For example, she has a trick where she makes a bouquet of flowers appear from seemingly nowhere
Oh, nice.
to emphasize the power of planting and growing to combat deforestation.
Wait, so she's not just doing magic tricks, she's actually educating people about climate change through her performances.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
And it's incredibly effective because she's not just lecturing people.
Right.
She's engaging them on an emotional level through the art of magic.
Okay.
Makes it fun, memorable, and thought-provoking, especially for younger audiences.
So it's about capturing people's imagination and making climate change feel more relatable and personal. But is there any evidence that this kind of approach actually works?
Well, it's difficult to measure the direct impact of something like this.
Right.
But there's growing research suggesting that using art and entertainment can be a very effective way to communicate complex issues, especially those that can feel overwhelming or distant, like climate change.
So by making it entertaining and engaging, she's actually making it more likely that people will pay attention and maybe even take action themselves.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's not just about individual actions either. Swan is also sparking conversations and raising awareness within communities, which can lead to broader social and political change.
It's incredible how she's taking something as seemingly whimsical as magic and using it to address one of the most pressing challenges of our time.
It really speaks to the power of human creativity and the importance of finding innovative ways to connect with people on issues that matter.
So we've got urban forests combating floods in Bangkok, soldiers sharing sweets on the India-China border, and a magician using her craft to inspire climate action.
3 seemingly unrelated stories.
Yeah.
Yet they all speak to the human capacity for innovation
Cooperation.
and finding hope, even in the most challenging circumstances.
It's giving me a much-needed dose of optimism. Now, before we delve deeper into these stories, I want to ask you, the listener, to think about something. What small act of positivity could you bring into the world today, inspired by what we've discussed?
It's a question worth pondering as we continue our exploration of these remarkable stories. It could be a simple act of kindness,
Right.
a creative solution to a problem,
Or even
just sharing these stories with others to spread a little bit of light in the world.
keep that thought in mind as we continue our deep dive. We'll be back after a short break to uncover more details about these inspiring stories.
Sounds good. It's truly inspiring to see how people are finding these solutions to really complex problems.
Yeah.
So, going back to Bangkok for a moment,
Okay.
you mentioned the strategic placement of these urban forests.
Right.
What's fascinating is they're not just planting any old trees.
Oh.
They're carefully selecting species that are native to that region,
Right.
that thrive in those wet conditions.
Yeah. But wouldn't native species take longer to grow? And wouldn't that delay that immediate flood relief?
That's a great point, and it's something that they've considered.
Okay.
They're focusing on a mix of fast-growing species for those short-term benefits and slower-growing, more resilient species for that long-term sustainability.
Okay.
So it's about finding that balance
Gotcha.
between immediate impact and lasting solutions.
And what about the actual design of these urban forests?
Oh, you'll love this.
Okay.
They're creating these monkey cheeks.
Monkey cheeks.
I know, funny name, right?
Okay. You've got my attention.
It's a really clever technique
Okay.
where they create depressions in the landscape that can collect and store floodwater.
Oh, okay.
Think of it like creating little pockets
Right.
that mimic the natural way floodplains absorb water.
So it's like they're creating these mini reservoirs all over the city to help regulate the flow of water.
Exactly.
I love that.
And these monkey cheeks
Yeah.
not only help with flood control, but they also create microhabitats for various species,
Oh, wow.
boosting biodiversity within the city.
It's amazing how they're turning a problem into an opportunity to enhance that ecological richness of the urban environment.
Absolutely.
Now, shifting gears a little bit, I was really struck by the story about these soldiers exchanging sweets on Diwali.
Yes.
It seems like such a simple gesture, but it speaks volumes, especially given how sensitive that India-China border is.
It does, and it's important to understand the historical context.
Yeah.
You know, this border has been a source of tension for decades, with disputes over territory and differing perceptions of the line of actual control.
And there have been those face-offs and skirmishes in recent years that have really ratcheted up the tension.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
But what's remarkable is that despite these challenges,
Right.
both sides have shown this willingness to engage in dialogue
Okay.
and confidence-building measures. There have been agreements to de-escalate, pull back troops, and establish communication channels to prevent misunderstandings.
So even though the border issue itself remains unresolved,
Yeah.
they're finding ways to manage the situation and prevent it from escalating into a full-blown conflict.
Exactly. It's a delicate balancing act.
Right.
But both sides recognize the importance of peace and stability, especially in a region as strategically important as this one.
It's encouraging to see that dialogue and diplomacy can still prevail, even in situations where tensions run high.
Absolutely.
Speaking of finding creative ways to address complex issues, let's talk more about Megan Swan and her climate-themed magic.
Yeah.
You mentioned how she weaves messages into her tricks.
Right.
Can you give me some more examples?
Absolutely. One of her most powerful tricks involves a seemingly simple act.
Okay.
She pierces a balloon with a needle, but instead of popping, it stays inflated.
Oh, wow.
And this visually represents how greenhouse gases trap heat in the atmosphere.
Wow, that's such a clever way to illustrate a complex scientific concept using a really familiar object.
Right.
It's both entertaining and educational.
Exactly. And she doesn't stop there.
Okay.
She then engages the audience,
Yeah.
explaining the science behind climate change,
Yeah.
empowering them with actions they can take in their daily lives.
It's about turning that sense of wonder and amazement into a catalyst for action.
Absolutely.
What I find particularly impressive is her focus on reaching younger audiences.
Yeah.
Kids are often more receptive to these creative and engaging approaches.
Absolutely. You're right.
Yeah,
She understands that children are the future stewards of our planet.
right.
And by sparking their curiosity and imagination, she's planting the seeds for a more sustainable future.
It's like she's creating this generation of climate-conscious citizens
Hmm.
that are equipped with both the knowledge and the passion to make a difference.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah,
It's about empowering them to be a part of the solution, not just inherit a problem.
it's a reminder that even amidst all the complex challenges we face,
Yeah.
there's still so much hope and potential for positive change.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of these stories, isn't it?
Yeah.
They remind us that even small acts of kindness,
Right.
creativity,
Innovation.
can have a ripple effect,
Yeah.
inspiring others and contributing to a better world.
It's about those sparks of light that illuminate the path forward, showing us that a brighter future is indeed possible.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how these stories from different corners of the world, facing different challenges, can offer a unified sense of hope.
It really is.
Yeah.
It shows that even in the face of rising sea levels,
Right.
geopolitical tensions,
Yeah.
a global climate crisis,
Yeah.
the human spirit of innovation
Passion.
and resilience really shines through.
Like those monkey cheeks in Bangkok.
Oh, yeah.
Who would have thought that a funny name
Right.
for a clever flood control technique would also turn into an opportunity for biodiversity?
It's a great reminder that sometimes the most effective solutions are those that work in harmony with nature,
Right.
rather than trying to control it.
And that Diwali sweet exchange
Oh,
on the India-China border, such a simple gesture, yet so profound in its symbolism.
absolutely.
It gives me hope that even in the midst of these long-standing conflicts, human connection can still prevail.
It's a testament to the power of diplomacy and the recognition that we have more in common than what divides us.
And Megan Swan, using magic to inspire climate action, is proof that you don't have to be a scientist or a politician to make a difference.
Right.
Sometimes all it takes is a little creativity and a passion to connect with people on an emotional level.
Absolutely. She's demonstrating that even complex issues like climate change can be made accessible and engaging,
Right.
sparking curiosity and
Yeah.
inspiring action in unexpected ways.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into these incredible stories,
Yeah.
let's circle back to that question we posed earlier. What small act of positivity will you bring into the world today?
It doesn't have to be grand or complicated.
No.
It could be a simple act of kindness, a moment of creative problem solving,
Right.
or even just sharing these stories to spread a little bit of hope.
Because each one of us has the power to make a difference, no matter how small.
Absolutely.
And collectively, those small acts can create a ripple effect of positivity that spreads far and wide.
That's a great point.
So go out there and be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
It was a pleasure.
And until next time, stay curious and keep seeking out those good news stories that remind us of the incredible potential of humanity.
Absolutely.